On April 22nd, 2024, just before 6 a.m. India Standard Time, history was made in the chess world. 17-year-old Gukesh D became the youngest ever player to win the FIDE Candidates Tournament, and with that, became the youngest ever to contend for Ultimate Glory, the World Chess Championship. Let's dive into Gukesh's top 3 show-stopping moves of his career so far. At number 3 is Gukesh versus Aronian from Norway Chess 2023. Now let this position just sink in. How on earth did Gukesh manage to get these 2 pawns on the 7th rank? And even crazier, the position it got here, it started as the London system. Now to answer that question, you'll have to check out the whole game, and I'll tell you that you will not be disappointed. As Philidor once said, the pawns are the soul of chess. Now, these 2 pawns are the soul, body, heart, and mind of Gukesh's position. And here, exactly to get rid of one of those 2 pawns, Aronian made the move b5, attacking the white queen and disconnecting it from defending the d7 pawn. So if Gukesh retreats with that queen to d1, Aronian would simply pick up a very key pawn. You kind of lose your soul. But b5 is where the fireworks started. Gukesh does not want to lose one of those 2 pawns. He first sacrifices the bishop. That's the first brilliancy of this game. And there aren't 1, there aren't 2. There are 3 of them coming up, and this is just the appetizer. Bishop takes pawn. Aronian had to pick up that bishop, and this is where the stunning move comes in. You've given up a bishop, and now Gukesh goes in to sacrifice the queen, the second brilliancy of the game, and it's all around trying to promote one of these 2 pawns. If Aronian picks up that queen, Gukesh would go on to promote that pawn, bring in another queen, pick up that rook. Yes, black can take it, and then the c pawn picks up that rook and becomes another queen, winning the game. After queen takes rook in this position, Aronian couldn't capture the queen. Instead, he has to take that d7 pawn to stop all the threats from happening. Gukesh continued picking up a central pawn, and he played pretty flawlessly the next few moves, keeping everything under control. And I want to get your attention to that final brilliancy of this mind-boggling game. And it was right here after the queens got traded off. And I want you to pause and think about this. I want you to do a Gukesh right now. Just lean back, fold your hands like Gukesh always does in a game, and finish this off with the white pieces. I hope you were able to get it, because Gukesh definitely got it. He brings up the final sacrifice, another bishop sacrifice, the third brilliancy of this game, and essentially finishing things off. Aronian resigned here. This bishop has to get out of the way. If you capture the bishop, the white rook jumps in to that final 8th rank, giving a check. And finally, all dreams are realized as the c-pawn indeed ends up promoting itself as a queen. At number 2 is Gukesh versus Magnus Carlsen from the AIM Chess Rapid in 2022. Now, Gukesh was just 7 years old when, in his hometown in Chennai, he saw the crown being passed on. Magnus Carlsen won the 2013 World Championship. Fast forward 9 years, and Gukesh is 16. This is the position against Magnus Carlsen. Magnus has just made the move, knight from the center of the foreboard, falling back to g5. Once again, pause your video and have a think. What would you play next as white here? Now, if you did your puzzle rush, I'm pretty sure you got this one. And Gukesh did as well. He goes in with a sacrifice. Rook takes knight, awarded 2 exclamation mark, and that is a brilliancy, a tactical trick on the board. If Magnus captures that rook, the queen comes in, not just winning material. That would be checkmate on the world number 1. Now, rook takes knight is relatively a simple trick. This is not what Magnus missed. To really understand the beauty and appreciate the beauty of this tactic, we have to backtrack just a move. Because in fact, this move was inevitable. It could not have been stopped by Magnus. And why is that the case? Let's take a look. It all started at this moment. Gukesh had just landed the rook on the 7th rank, attacking Magnus's knight. Magnus makes the move rook to e8, defending that knight. And here Gukesh played what seems like a quiet move, but it's an absolute disaster after that for Magnus. It is the only move in the position that wins the game for Gukesh, and he finds it queen to b6. It's sort of like the assist to a goal. Rook takes knight was the goal, and queen to b6 is the assist. And what's the point of this? You're setting up the tactical trick that we just saw. Rook takes knight, queen coming in, winning the game. But it also has another far more devious idea. Because with this last move, white now has defended a key pawn in the position, and there is a big threat to trap Magnus's queen at the center of the board. For example, if Magnus, to stop the threat of rook takes knight, falls back with the rook to defend his last rank, suddenly out of nowhere, the white knight steps back to d3. And that queen on e5, it's over. It's gone. There are no squares for the move. It is trapped by its own pieces. Unbelievable. Queen to b6, threatening the deadly knight d3, which had to be stopped, forcing Magnus to fall back with his own knight to create some escape squares for the queen, which allowed the tactical trick of rook takes knight. And as is often the case, yes, rook takes knight is the brilliancy, but queen to b6 for me is the assist to the goal, and the assist steals the spotlight. And after rook takes knight, the brilliancy, the tactics, the rook could not be captured, Magnus continued, but just a few moves later, as Gukesh converted this flawlessly, and it was right here as the white knight jumps in. The e-pawn is unstoppable. There are big threats against the black king. The world number one, Magnus Carlsen, resigned. This was Gukesh's first win against Magnus. A big moment in his career, because believing you can do it is one thing, but knowing you can do it is a whole different thing. And with this, Gukesh also set a new world record of being the youngest ever player to beat Magnus Carlsen as world champion. And at number 1 is a huge game from the candidates. This is round 8. Vidit Gujarati with the white pieces against Gukesh D. Now, Gukesh has just lost round 7, the only loss that he had in the candidates against Ali Reza. And this is how the 17-year-old bounced back right after. Playing with black, it has been a model game against the Italian. A brilliant one. In case you missed it, I highly recommend you take a check on it, because the whole strategy was around Gukesh infiltrating from the queen side, one side of the board, and then eventually ending the game with a checkmate on the other side of the board. He's kept the pressure on Vidit for pretty much the entire game. And here, Vidit made the move, g-pawn, moving 2 steps forward, clearing the way for the white rook to attack the queen and hitting the black knight at the same time. 2 pieces hanging. And this is the moment I want you to pause. I want you to channel your inner Gukesh. I want you to channel your Puzzle Rush God mode. Black to play. One of the wackiest positions from the candidates and one of the most beautiful moves of the candidates. Here, Gukesh played the stunning rook takes knight. Black has got 3 pieces hanging. White has got 4 different captures, where all roads lead to Rome, and Rome is checkmate on Vidit's king on h4. Let's take a look at all the different captures. If white picks up the knight at the edge of the board, rook takes pawn is game over. Instead, if you capture the rook with the g-pawn, queen to g3 is checkmate. And after rook takes knight, my favorite, the most beautiful, if you capture the black queen, who needs a queen when you can get to the king, g5, a small pawn move with big effects, that's checkmate on the board. Take a look at this. Let this position just sink in. Absolutely crazy stuff. g5 would have been game over. Nothing can be picked up. Instead, after rook takes knight, Vidit captured the rook with the e-pawn. This only delays the inevitable. A check on the board, the king forced to move forward. And now, after the knight retreats to h7, giving another check, Vidit resigns, as the only move is picking up the knight, and queen takes pawn would have been checkmate. A beautiful win midway through the candidates. This victory with the black pieces played a key role in securing Gukesh's overall tournament win. Now, when Gukesh was 10, he said he wants to become the world champion. At 17, he will get a shot at making that dream come true. I hope you enjoyed this sneak peek into the mind of Gukesh Dommaraju. In the comments, tell me your favorite Gukesh moment.